Rawr XD nuzzles you, ooh woo. Mr. Obama. Why do we say the things that we say? Why do those of us who were raised by the internet speak in silly riddles? Last year I made a video investigating the origins of ooh woo, specifically how it went from being an emoticon created out of the generalized emoticon language of the 90s to being used like a word. Recently someone suggested that I should do Rawr XD, and I thought that sounded like a fun challenge. Today, Rawr XD is a phrase we use often to invoke nostalgia for the scene subculture, you know, emo's colorful cousin with worse music taste. Oh, to be a scene kid in 2006 commenting Rawr XD on hot girls' MySpace pictures. Rawr XD is thought of as sort of cute, flirty, representing unashamedly cringe affection between scene kids, and the sentiment that cringe is dead in general. But why? Let's break it down. There are two elements here, okay? Rawr and XD. XD is an emoticon face, like ooh woo. I should stand on this side so you can see it better. The D is like a widely smiling, laughing mouth. The X, I think, would be literally translated as dead, but in this case it's like dying laughing. So XD is like, oh my god, that's so funny, I'm dying laughing. Oh my god, my scene bangs. My scene bangs. Can't fucking move your head with these things. XD was widely used throughout the 2000s and 2010s, basically until emojis usurped the humble emoticon. It was super normal. It wasn't associated with any particular niche or subculture. It was just a common way that people would say crying laughing or dying laughing or whatever. Source, I was there. I remember 2010. Easy. We understand XD. Rawr is a deeper rabbit hole though. But before we get into it, a word from this video's sponsor, Helix. It's time to get cozy for the winter season, and if your mattress sucks, well, that just won't do now, will it? Helix makes premium mattresses customized to fit your unique needs and conveniently shipped straight to your door. Everyone's different, everyone sleeps differently, which is why Helix has a sleep quiz designed to match you with your perfect mattress based on your body type and sleep preferences. If you sleep with a partner, you can take the quiz together to find something that is the perfect compromise for the two of you. Based on my results, Helix matched me with their Twilight Luxe mattress, this beautiful mattress that you see before your eyes. It is their firmest mattress. I do tend to like a firmer mattress because of the scoliosis demons that live in my spine. Helix has been reviewed against hundreds of competitors and is the most awarded. The Helix Midnight Luxe has been ranked the best overall mattress according to both Forbes and Wired. But if that's not the one for you, the Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses to choose from, as well as a line of mattress toppers that are designed to be used on non-Helix mattresses. So if you're looking to improve your old mattress, these are an excellent option. They've got the premium mattress topper. For sleepers who are looking for added pressure relief, the Ergo Align mattress topper, which has 3 support zones to optimize spinal alignment, the Dual Comfort mattress topper, which is made for couples with different sleep preferences. You can also adjust the firmness of every mattress topper, which I think is pretty cool. I've had my Helix mattress for around 3 years now, and I still absolutely love it. Myself, my partner, our beautiful baby Binguses are sleeping excellently on it. And if it makes you nervous to buy a mattress that you haven't tried out in person, don't worry, because Helix offers seamless returns and exchanges. You get a 120-night sleep trial. You can sleep on this baby for 120 nights before you decide if you really love it. There's also a lifetime warranty, there are financing options, flexible payment plans. I really like my Helix mattress, so if you're in the market for a new bed, go check them out. And now is a great time to do so. If you visit my magical link, helix.com/strangeeons, you can take advantage of their extended Cyber Monday sale and get 20% off site-wide. And now I return you to your regularly scheduled content. Rawr. It comes from roar, except spelling it with a W makes it cuter sounding. It's kind of cute in the same way that ooh woo is cute. But that does not mean that it's related to ooh woo. It is not, okay? Typing quirks and purposeful misspellings were really popular as a way of conveying tone and personality in a text-based medium. It probably started because texting was like kind of a nightmare in the 90s and 2000s, and to illustrate this, I have a physical artifact to show the class, okay? This is my first phone. Are you ready? Are you ready? Yes. The keyboard looks like this. This is a special texting keyboard. This was definitely designed with like hip teens and tweens who like to text in mind, but it was still not a great experience. I used this thing until like 2014, honestly, and by then some of my friends had iPhones and like there was no comparison. Okay, this was about the best it got, and it wasn't great. Of course, you're going to invent short forms and spell things as minimally and as possible when you have to type on this. And that disrespect for the English language that was necessary when texting eventually made its way into just online communication in general. So even when using a computer with a normal keyboard, a lot of young people just wrote weirdly to distinguish themselves. I think My Immortal is an excellent specimen for studying that. Yes, it is known for its insane amount of spelling mistakes, and many do seem the result of someone who is just typing too fast. But I would argue a decent amount of the creative spellings in My Immortal are done on purpose. Proper English doesn't really suit the way that she wants to express herself, so she very freely messes with spelling and grammar to make her online writing sound more like her authentic voice and to fit her goth aesthetic. So rawr is a cute roar. But how did it become so popular? And among emo and scene kids specifically. I feel like we see rawr the most often when it comes to the phrase rawr means I love you in dinosaur. Everywhere from Hot Topic shirts to boomer memes. It makes sense then to assume that the popularity of rawr comes from that phrase and that it was adopted as a coded way of saying I love you. But that is not correct, okay? To assume such a thing, it may seem logical. It's a good theory, but it is wrong. The use of rawr predates the phrase rawr means I love you in dinosaur by around 5 years. How do I know this, you might ask? Where does one go to hear the authentic voices of cringe middle schoolers from the 2000s, echoing through the ages, to wake their skinny jean wearing ghosts and shake them down for answers? It's fanfiction authors' notes. Okay? And what I discovered is that we were rawring in 2003, which is way earlier than I expected. The Know Your Meme page for Rawr XD points to this 2004 DeviantArt post as the earliest known use of it. But as usual, Know Your Meme is wrong. I'm just kidding. Know Your Meme is a great resource a lot of the time, but for some of these more obscure ones, it's not. That is not the oldest searchable Rawr XD on DeviantArt. This is the oldest searchable Rawr XD on DeviantArt, and it is from 2003, like the earliest example from fanfiction.net. Both of those sites show the emergence and immediate spike in usage of rawr in 2003. We were rawring in 2003, yes, but it did not mean I love you in dinosaur. The first evidence of rawr means I love you in dinosaur entering people's vocabulary isn't until 2008. Sasuke-kun, do you know what rawr means in dino language? So why then were we rawring? I have come across a 2008 blog post claiming to teach you how to talk and act like a scene kid. Some people type like this, but that gets really annoying and is best used sparingly. To say that something is very cool or the best, phrases such as that is the sex or that is the shit or so Vogue. P.S. Vogue is a fashion magazine and saying that means something is fashionable or modern. The only text talk to regular talk a scene kid is allowed to use is OMG. Do not say LOL in real life or you'll be a poser. That is not good. Scenes are known for being very random, but be sparing. No one likes the person who shouts, I like cupcakes every 2 minutes. Rawr and gur are additions, mostly used to express frustration. You are not seen if you dress and talk like one. You must be into the music too. No Jonas Brothers and skinny jeans / bright eyeliner. They don't work well together. Become invested in the local / indie scene, metal, screamo, electronica, or techno / trance. Scene gets its name from music scene. Angry commenters quickly inform the writer of this post that you can't just force yourself to dress or talk or act a certain way to fit a label. That's literally being a poser. In fact, anyone who actually calls themselves scene or emo is a tryhard poser. And if you're really just different, then you can't be categorized, okay? Which I think is a good reminder of the silliness of trying to define these things. You know, that we are imposing labels and definitions on a group of people who really didn't use them and in fact hated them. And that very few people ever fit cleanly into categories like scene, emo, hardcore, and very few people who use the word rawr ever gave it a definition. They might not even use it the same way as the next person might use it. So is it futile? Is our mission to understand rawr futile? No. No, I will not give up yet. While I agree with the unfortunate poser writer of this blog post that gur is an expression of frustration, rawr is more complicated than that. I disagree with rawr being lumped in with that because rawr can be that, but rawr is so much more complicated than that also. In search of a true understanding of rawr, we must examine the primary sources. The first place I looked was fanfiction.net, and honestly, harrowing experience at first. Disclaimer, I do not own Gossip Girl. Rawr. Rate and review. Rawr. Enjoy. Rated M for cussin' and some girl-on-girl smut. Rawr. AU. Please comment. Rawr. Ah! Apocalypse! Rawr! Rated T for imagery. Not a lemon! Rawr. Complete. Please rate and review. Rawr. Wizardmon looked out to the sea and saw Rawr, read it and find out what he saw. Middle-aged Gundam pilots trying to manage a rescue mission. Rawr. Slight yaoi. Another one of my sappy stories. I had to write a Cho Cedric fic, so rawr. The way that people are dropping rawr like it's punctuation, like it's an emoticon almost. I started to wonder, is rawr like the inverse of uwu? You know, uwu was an emoticon that came to be used like a word. Is rawr a word that has no literal definition but is used almost like an emoticon to signify tone? Somehow? If so, what tone? Like, I'm still confused. Rawr. Haha, did I get your attention? Well, this story is about Ayame and Koga. Oh my god, okay. Okay, so the 2000s and early 2010s were the era of random humor. It's hard to explain the appeal of this if you were not in middle school at the time, because in retrospect it is really truly annoying. Are you random? Moo, oink, rawr, see? Purple angel gerbil, rawr, XDD. Rawr, I'm a goldfish, you know, the usual. Unicorns go rawr. Rawr certainly feels at home among these proclamations of quirky nonsense. So, is it true? Is it futile then? Is this when we give up? No. No, I will persevere a little longer. I will continue to ask, why does Sasuke keep saying rawr? Let's go back to the absolute basics, right? On the most literal level, rawr is a cute roar. Or like a growl, you know, the noise of some scary animal with fangs that is also cute. So on DeviantArt, you see a lot of people using it in the captions of their drawings of animals or fantasy creatures or anthropomorphic characters. You see it used a lot when people are designing their edgy original characters who they've given fangs and claws and wings and etc. And yes, she has fangs like Namek and nice pointy nails, rawr. She is also called Ninjasaurus, rawr, XD. Sometimes though you will literally just see a picture of a normal cat captioned rawr, because it's a cute animal. Okay, so these are uses of rawr that are starting to make sense. And what else might you do if you are perhaps some kind of a creature with fangs and claws? Fight? Defend yourself? There are certainly uses of rawr that reflect that. As someone in a game who never trash talks, I do find it irritating when people are all rawr at each other instead of playing the game. Rawr. XD. A sketch I did of Domon Kashu from G Gundam. Kushina being a rawr feminist ninja. What fighting style are you? A McGonagall Umbridge showdown. Rawr. When Cortex was finally able to stand on his foot again, he stormed over to his minions. What are you boneheads saying about me? He roared. Rawr! Sometimes fanfiction authors will rawr at their potential audiences as a sort of gentle threat away from content they might not like. Yowie, rawr, be warned. Rate and review, enjoy, no flames, rawr. You have been warned, rawr. Read or die, rawr. Rawr, don't post or steal, please. And yeah, I know I probably spelt Mirror wrong, good, rawr. Rawr winds up being used to express all kinds of frustrations. I'm trying to get all of my commission line arts finished today since school starts tomorrow. Rawr, XD. I look so handsome here, OMG. I want to be a guy now. Rawr. Update. I made a mistake. I deleted this one on accident, so I had to fix it. Rawr. Damn it, Evan. You had to stick out your tongue. Rawr almost always expresses semi-joking anger due to its cuteness. You could be saying, you stupid illiterate haters, fuck off if you don't like my yaoi, but you're not. You're saying rawr. The aggression is fake. I think pairing it with XD adds even another layer of irony or self-awareness. It's like, ooh, I'm gonna get you, LOL. You're laughing at yourself when you say that. From here, rawr becomes an expression of being jokingly edgy, scary, villainous, but also cute. Darkness will conquer all. Rawr! These edgy, scary creature implications, I think, is what makes it so popular with the, I don't know, emo scene, goth type crowd. In fact, there is a delightful amount of rawring vampires on DeviantArt. Another thing I did not expect, there's so many funny vampire selfies and vampire art. Attacks you and bites you, rawr, XD. Take this quiz or I will bite you, rawr. Maybe I was a monster. Maybe the rumors were true. So, rawr and stuff. You see a lot of poses like this, like a claw or a paw of sorts. Sometimes it's more claw, sometimes it's more paw. And people doing like growling faces in selfies. And of course, wherever you have monsters, you inevitably have monster fuckers. There are plenty of examples of rawr being used to express attraction. Sexy emo boys, rawr. I think he's hot. Rawr, XD. How are you with boys? Rawr. But seriously, how are you with boys? He's so sexa. Sitting there on my wallpaper, rawr. Ben decides to have fun with one tall, dark, and handsome ex-con, rawr. LOL, it's my first lemon. So when you comment rawr on someone's MySpace picture, are you trying to seduce them? Or fight them? or warrior cats roleplay with them. It's gonna depend on the context. To make things even more vague and unhelpful to any time travelers looking to go back to 2007, there are plenty of examples of rawr being used as an expression of just kind of excitement or a burst of energy, you know? Something like, yay, awesome, excited to be here. Rawr, another one. Rawr, yay, my second quiz, I love it. My first thing on Quizazz. The title explains it perfectly. Please take rawr. Made up my own Sailor Scout, rawr XD. Sometimes rawr is almost like an excited greeting, like, hello! Exclamation point. I'm here and I'm cute, edgy. I'll update this page later. Sweat. Rawr. Hello. Rawr. XD. I'm traditional, no computer tablets or coloring programs, etc., etc., talking about their art. This brings us finally to rawr means I love you in dinosaur. If you Google that phrase today, one of the first pictures you will find is this one, or some variation of it. There's tons of variations of it. The original is this pencil drawing posted to DeviantArt on December 6th, 2007. However, just because this cute dinosaur drawing seems to have gotten really popular doesn't mean that it invented the phrase, rawr means I love you in dinosaur. It didn't. There is an earlier use of the phrase from March 2008 on DeviantArt, and one from October of 2008 on fanfiction.net. So, although I am confident in dating this phrase to 2008, I don't know who originally came up with it, who originally posted it online, just that popularizing it seems to have been the collective effort of artists on DeviantArt, probably other websites too at the time, who made a ton of drawings and edits inspired by it in all of their different styles. There's so many different ones out there. Finally, we have arrived at the most well-known meaning of rawr, but let us not forget all of its history leading up to that point. In the words of one DeviantArt poet, rawr means I love you in dinosaur. Rawr gives a sense of false anger. Rawr is such a cute word. Rawr. I broke a nail. Ooh. Rawr. I love you. Just rawr. Smiling cat face. Beautiful. I'm going to shed a tear. Our final remaining question is, how did rawr XD become a unit? Not only rawr or XD, but rawr XD. A phrase deeply rooted in scene aesthetics. What is scene, anyway? Besides emo's colorful cousin with worse music taste. To understand it, we have to understand a little bit about MySpace, the social media site which came out in 2003 and reigned supreme until it was dethroned by Facebook in 2009. 90s, 2000s, pre-MySpace, alt music subculture already included a diverse hodgepodge of different music genres and different fashions that emulated those music genres. Emo was kind of the newest offshoot at that point. A lot of young people in those subcultures were quick to adopt MySpace. And the story goes that there were these teenage girls, mostly teenage girls. Jeffree Star was also there, and they became early influencers. They were good at looking cool on the internet, and they amassed a ton of followers. And because of the influence these kids had on fashion, taste, etc., people started to call them scene queens, as in like queens of this subcultural scene. What we would probably now call emo, but they didn't really call it then. Back then, sometimes they would call it hardcore or just the scene. And then that got distorted into the niche that scene queens represented, specifically being called scene, which is super confusing. Good job on that, everyone. In a 2020 interview, former scene queen Hannah Beth Merjos reflects that she and her friends were just 3 teenage girls who met on MySpace. They would have quirky photo shoots dressed up in tutus and crowns and clashing brightly colored things. We all connected because we lived close and we were in these very emo, hardcore music scenes. I used to go to shows 2 or 3 times a week. That world was my whole life. I didn't hear the term scene queen until I was 17 or 18. Yes, they were really that young, and adult men were not normal about it. That was like a really common thing with the... Anyway, I was with Audrey and we were doing a lot of events with this company called BuzzNet. We did Warped Tour together, we had poster signings and things like that, and I just remember girls being like, oh my god, I look up to you guys. You're like the scene queens. And I'm like, what is that? Many of the bands that scene kids became obsessed with were bands that actually got started on MySpace. So it was a very exciting time to be part of this thing, you know, like it was all happening. Many of the scene queens went on to date band members and become embroiled in their drama. You know, they weren't just fans. They and the MySpace community were actively creating this thing, the scene, you know? Unlike all of its predecessors, scene is native to the internet. We've always associated certain fashions with certain music, but with scene we also think of typing quirks, certain memes and internet popular art styles, MySpace's custom profiles with their patterns and glitter and stickers and flashing things and an aesthetic sensory overload that feels very reflected in a lot of scene outfits. It takes the skinny jeans and studded belts and graphic tees from emo, the candy bracelets and bright colors of rave fashions. There's definitely some 80s glam in there with like, I don't think we talk about the influence of 80s glam on scene hair enough, okay? It's like this fabulous hodgepodge of music subcultures past with sparkly rainbow unicorn vomit all over it. However, scene appeared and disappeared as quickly as MySpace did. A very, very bright flash in the pan. But it didn't stay dead. At the very least, the aesthetic didn't stay dead. You know, what I will call scene core fashion, checkerboards and Monster Energy and candy bracelets. Oh boy, it's all back and seemingly more popular than ever. Hashtag Rawring 20s is what they're calling it. Rawr XD, cringe is dead. Put your cat ears on, son, we're going to see a marching band. I've come to realize that Rawr XD is a recent creation. It's an expression of nostalgia for the scene subculture and the young internet. It's certainly something that some scene kids said. Sometimes. But so did furries and weird internet kids in general. Plus, Rawr and XD didn't always used to have to go together. They so often do now because it's a caricature of how cringe kids used to speak on the internet. It's a frozen artifact compared to the dynamic ways that people used to use these expressions. That said, I would never want to discourage anyone from rawring, okay? If today Rawr XD means cringe is dead, then I am all for the hashtag Rawring 20s. I also think that while there is an element of nostalgia to it for some people, there are also a lot of young people who are drawn to these scene core sort of things just because there's an inherent appeal. They're sparkly and people like them. And scene music was kind of terrible anyway. Like, do you guys remember Blood on the Dance Floor? Kids, do not look that one up. My advice to future scene kids, okay, don't listen to any of the music, okay? Just take the aesthetic, incorporate even more 80s glam, stop buying fast fashion forever, make more weird art, you'll be fine. And that is all for now. Yours faithfully, Strange Jones. Rawr.